हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाये नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यंकरवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगताम् अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वतीपतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। So Bhagwan taught the whole Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, who was confused and dejected on the battlefield. And now in this 18th chapter, Bhagwan summarizes the whole teaching and concludes by giving the essence of the teaching. So in the verse 65, Bhagwan gives the whole summary of all our sadhana. Says, Manmana bhava madbhaktaha madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyante pratijane priyosi me. Ki hey Arjuna, you become manmana. Let only my thoughts be in your mind. Madbhaktaha bhava, become my devotee. Madhyaji, do my seva. And mam namaskuru, and surrender to me. In this way, you will attain me. Mam eva eshyasi satyante pratijane priyosi me. You are very dear to me, and you will attain me. That is my promise to you. This is my pratijna. Then again Bhagwan gives the very essence, saying that you drop all the dharma falsely held on to, the dharma of the body, the mind, the senses, and surrender to me. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Surrender to me alone. So here me is that Ishvara, who is Brahma, who is the very nature of our own self. So one should drop all the false identification and surrender to our own supreme self. So after giving this essence of the essence and concluding his teaching, Bhagwan will be now telling us about who is adhikari to gain this knowledge. But before that, Bhagwan Sri Adi Shankaracharya Ji has written an elaborate commentary discussing this question, ki what is the main path of attaining that supreme goal of moksha, to become totally free of all bondage, to become free of this samsara and attain that moksha. What exactly is the method conveyed in Bhagavad Gita? Can we attain it only through karma, or can it be attained only through knowledge, or can it be attained by a combination of karma and knowledge? That is the question, which one has to be very clear, because then we will know what we should, what should we aim at. And what is the main teaching? Why this question is raised here? Because a lot of people, they study Bhagavad Gita and they arrive at different conclusions. Even if you see in the world, there are thousands of commentaries available on Bhagavad Gita. So most popular text, and we find commentaries written on this Bhagavad Gita in all the languages by so many different people, different scholars, saints, bhaktas, karma yogis. They have written commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. So, and it is all this understanding or misunderstanding becomes possible because so many verses are there. So to comprehend exactly what Bhagwan wants to convey, many times people get confused and they arrive at different understanding. So Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji wants to point out exactly what is the main path by which we can become free of this samsara. There are those who think that Bhagavad Gita is meant only to teach us karma, because Arjuna had come on the battlefield and Bhagwan has told him that you have to just fight this war. Though Bhagwan talks about jnanam, but again and again he tells Arjuna that your duty is just to fight this war and to do karma. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. But then many places in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan also talked about the importance of jnanam, that only through jnanam we become free. Yad jnatva amrutam ashnute tato mam tatvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram. So only knowledge can make a person free of this samsara. And since both these things are said very emphatically, one may feel that maybe both the things should be done together. That we can never give up karma. So karma has to be done throughout our life, and we have to also gain knowledge. So these three possibilities are there. So what exactly is the teaching? We have to understand which one is proper. So what does Vedanta say? What does Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya ji's conclusion? So that we have to know. So Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes in his commentary कि आत्मज्ञानस्य तु केवलस्य निःश्रेयस हेतुत्वं भेद प्रत्यय निवर्तिकत्वेन कैवल्य फलावसानत्वात्. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji says that only self-knowledge alone can make a person free of this samsara. Because self-knowledge alone removes all notion of difference, divisions. Bheda pratyaya nivartikatvena. At present, in the state of ignorance, we feel separation, that I am different, this world is different, all these other beings are different, Ishvara is different. So one experiences that difference. And when there is this experience of difference, then there is sorrow, pain, fear, trouble. And when we experience oneness, we become free of all this. And this experience of oneness can happen only with the knowledge of that oneness. Therefore, Shankaracharya ji says that the sar of all the teaching of this Bhagavad Gita, not only Bhagavad Gita but all the Upanishads also, is that only Atma Jnana can make a person free of all bondage. Because this division is is there because of ignorance. He says कि क्रिया कारक फल भेद बुद्धि ही अविद्यया आत्मनि नित्य प्रवृत्ताः मम कर्म अहम कर्ता अमुष्मय फलाय idam karma karishyami iti. That this bheda buddhi which we have is only because of avidya, not recognizing myself properly. And because of that, we see the activity, and based on the activity, we judge ourselves. We feel that activity is going on in the body, activity is going on in this world. So we think that I am the doer of this activity, that I have to do this action to get this type of result. In this way, there is a notion of division. Bhagavan says this is because of avidya only. I am the doer, this is my action, this is the result which I have to gain. So in this way, one gets tied down to this samsara because of this false notion, avidya. And this avidya can be eliminated only through knowledge. So asya avidyaya nivartakam ayam aham asmi kevalah akarta akriyah afalah. This avidya can be eliminated only through knowledge. The absence of knowledge can be filled only with knowledge. When I don't know myself, that I don't know myself can get eliminated only when I come to know myself. When I come to know that I am that one supreme self, akarta, not a doer, akriyah, there is no activity happening in me, there is no need for gaining any result, because there is nothing other than me, na matta anya asti kaschid iti evam rupam atma vishayam jnanam utpadyamanam karma pravritti hetu bhutayaha bheda buddhi nivartakatvat. So when we come to recognize ourselves as we are, all this sense of division gets eliminated, and I come to experience that kaivalya avastha, that state of total solitude, wherein I experience my own self without any division, that everything is myself, sarvam khalvidam brahma, and that Brahma am I. So the main thing is that Gita, as the Upanishad convey, that only self-knowledge can make us free. See, that doesn't mean that in the beginning we should not perform action. We should perform action to prepare ourselves to gain this self-knowledge. And once we gain self-knowledge, we have to drop all action and gain abidance in ourselves. So though Bhagavad Gita talks about performing action, though Bhagavad Gita teaches action also, it is for those who are at an initial stage of spiritual sadhana. Like Arjuna, Bhagavan is teaching Arjuna that you should perform action. At this stage, just renouncing action, you will not be able to attain that highest result. So you perform action with a particular attitude, and once your mind becomes calm, peaceful, pure, once you gain that self-knowledge, then you can drop all karma and gain abidance in that self. So all the karmas can be dropped once one gains that self-knowledge. Karmas can be dropped means I come to realize that I am not the doer of any action. The action keep on happening in the world, but I know I am not the doer of that action. The body also keeps functioning, the mind also keeps functioning, but I will know that I am not the doer of the action which is happening in the body or in the mind. So one becomes free of the sense of doership completely and gain that complete abidance in one's own supreme self. Therefore, the path of that moksha is not karma, is not combination of karma and jnana, but it is jnanam alone. Knowledge alone can make us free. Self-knowledge alone can make us free. Jnanat evatu kaivalyam. In the Upanishads also it is said, Nanyah panta ayanaya vidyate, that there is no other path than to gain that self-knowledge. Akaryatvacha nishreyasya karma sadhanatva anupapattihi nahi nityam vastu karmana jnanena va kriyate. See, that Supreme Self is not a product of action. It is not through action we don't create that Brahma. Through knowledge also that Brahma is not created. We have to recognize that Brahma as it is, as our own self. Therefore knowledge, self-knowledge is the way. Kevalam evam jnanam hi nishresa sadhanam. Only knowledge is the sadhan, nishresa sadhan, to gain that moksha. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji also writes कि ततः च सर्व कर्म संन्यासात् ज्ञान निष्ठायाम आत्यंतिक संसार उपरमः इति सिद्धम. That total freedom from this samsara happens when we drop all karma and gain that abidance in our own self. Then, because the identification with this body is because of avidya, and as long as we have this identification with our stool sharir and sukshma sharir, even after death we are born again. But once this identification gets negated through vidya, through proper knowledge, then there is no more samsara for this enlightened person. So tasmad bhranti pratyaya nimittah eva ayam sansara brahmah natu paramartha iti samyak darshanat atyantam eva uparama iti siddham. So this whole samsara brahma is because of avidya, because of confusion, delusion. Once that delusion gets eliminated, we become free of this samsara, here and now. So knowledge is the most important thing which we have to acquire, self-knowledge. And in order to prepare ourselves to become fit to gain self-knowledge, one has to do karma. So karma is the initial step, and self-knowledge is the final step, final thing which we have to attain. Okay? So that is the main teaching of this Bhagavad Gita. Now let me again, before we go to the next shloka, briefly, with the help of some example, convey the main sar of this teaching of Gita. So if we just see our own experience, from the present experience what we have in the stage of ignorance, we have to gain the experience of our Supreme Self. So from the experience at the level of ignorance, we have to gain that experience of when we attain that self-knowledge. So at the level of ignorance, what is our experience? What is the universal experience? Bhagavad Gita is a teaching given to all to the entire humanity. So even without using many technical words, we can convey the teaching to everyone. So by just using, let us say, two words, aham and idam, I and this, one can convey the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Aham and idam. Okay? So in the state of ignorance, everyone, the entire humanity, what is the experience? What is my experience? Forget about all the philosophies and religion and different beliefs and faith and all. Removing all this from my mind, what is the basic experience which everyone has got? All people, without exception, has the experience of I and this. Aham and idam is a universal experience of the entire humanity. Aham and idam. So in this body, we experience aham. मैं हूँ, I am. I experience in this body. When we are born, from the moment we are born, we have the experience of I am, connected with this body. And we have the experience of this world as this, idam, this. I don't experience this world as aham. I experience this world as idam. Idam means this. This means different from this I. So these two experiences are there, which are free from all doubts. In the sense, it is a universal experience. Aham and idam. So the world is purely experienced as idam. This. So this is a table, this is a book, this tree, this bird, this mountain, this river, this sky, the stars, and aham. Now, if we analyze this experience of aham and idam, there is one more experience which we have, which has got the traces of both aham and idam in them. For example, this body is not only experienced as aham, but it is also experienced as idam. Similarly, our mind, our senses are experienced as aham as well as idam. So there is an experience of aham idam, and this body also, I think it is mine. The senses, I think it is mine. So aham idam and mama idam. This experience of aham as this, and also experience of this as mine. I hope. So let me take this pot again. So this pot is like our gross physical body, And this is like a subtle body which has got 19 parts. The Karmendriyas, the Jnanendriyas, the Pancha Pranas, and the Mana Buddhi Chitta Ahankar. So in this body we have the experience of I, and in the world we have experience of this. But in this body we also have the experience of this. So this body and the Sukshma Sharir has got the experience of I and this. I and this, and I and my. So aham, idam, and aham and mama. So if we analyze these experiences, we will find that there is one experience which we have in which there is only experience of pure aham. That is in deep sleep. In deep sleep, there is no experience of idam. There is only experience of aham, my. When I wake up, I know that I was alone there. I alone was there. There was no body, there was no mind, there was no world disturbing me. I was alone. So there is the experience of aham without idam. There is the experience of idam without aham, means this world is experiences idam without aham. And there is the experience of idam and aham together. In the gross body as well as the subtle body, we have the experience of aham and idam together. Okay. So these three divisions are there now. Shuddha experience of aham in deep sleep, then the experience of aham and idam together in the waking and dream, in the body and mind and senses, and the experience of idam in the world. Now the Shastras come and tell me that this experience of aham and idam together is not proper. You should separate them. So when I separate them, I come to know that there is this aham, and other than aham, everything is idam. So even my body, gross physical body, and the subtle body, everything falls under idam only, which is falsely identified as aham, but actually it is idam. So now there is two pure division, aham and idam. So all this idam is different from this aham, that is what we experience. So there is one idam and there is this aham. Now the Shastras come and tell me, Bhagavad Gita tells me, that just as you have this experience of aham in this body, there are other beings who are experiencing aham in their respective body, that pure aham. So the Shastra come and tell me that just as all the idam is one, similarly all this aham is also one only. The aham in this body, the aham in other body is not different. They are all one. So that is called Atma Ekatva Vidya. That the Atma, that I, in all the body is one only. So that Atma which is one in all the bodies, that is called Param Atma, the Supreme Self, which is same in all the body. And this idam is also one. There are no divisions in idam. It is one only. This whole idam is called this world, and this aham is that sarvatma which is present in this whole world. But what is the relationship between this atma and this idam really? So the scriptures further say that this idam is the very essence of this idam. The very swarup of this idam is that Brahma. This idam is changing, it is jada, it is limited. So the very essence of this idam, the cause of this idam, is that Brahma, which is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. And the Shastras further say that this aham which you experience within this body, and that aham which is same in all the body, that aham is that Brahma only. So aham brahmasmi. So the whole world, idam is Brahma, and this aham which is present in all the bodies is also Brahma. So there is only that aham as Brahma alone is there. So everything is my own self as Brahma. So from the experience of division, that I am different, this world is different, finally I come to the experience that everything is one, everything is Brahma, and that Brahma is myself. Everything is myself. So from aham and idam, and the confusion of aham idam together, so first we have to separate this confusion of aham idam, understand aham and idam as different, then understand all this idam as one unit, then also understand that aham is present in all the bodies, and then understand this aham and idam are actually one only as Brahma. So all this we have seen elaborately in so many our classes. So we have to contemplate again and again and again on this teaching and comprehend all this deeply, subjectively, and become free of this samsara. That is our sadhana. So after giving this whole teaching to Arjuna, and finally giving the essence of the essence in this verse, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Ahantva Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Ma Shuchaha. Now in the following verses, Bhagwan is giving certain instruction to the one who has gained this knowledge, and to the one who wants to share this knowledge with others. Bhagwan gives certain instructions. कि सर्वं गीता शास्त्रार्थम उपसंवृत्य अस्मिन् अध्याये विशेषतः च अन्ते इह शास्त्रार्थ दार्ढ्याय संक्षेपतः उपसंहारं कृत्वा, after concluding his teaching and giving the essence of the essence in the 66th verse, atha idanim shastra sampradaya vidhim aha. Bhagwan is telling the vidhi, the procedure of this shastra sampradaya, of this sampradaya, of this knowledge. This knowledge which Bhagwan has given, Bhagwan has said in the 4th chapter that I had given this to Surya Bhagwan in the beginning, then he gave it to his Manu, then Ikshvaku and all. So in this tradition of this knowledge is there. So the Guru teaches this knowledge to the Shishya. So the Guru Shishya Parampara is there. And this Guru Shishya Parampara is the Sampradaya which has begun from Ishvara alone. Therefore we chant this mantra also, Ki Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. So here Bhagavan is giving strict procedure, rules of who is fit to learn this Bhagavad Gita and to whom it should be taught. This is very important. See, even in the world, when we want to go to some college or get some education, there are qualifications required. Everyone is not admitted in the college. Similarly, who is fit to gain this knowledge and to whom it should be taught? So what is the rules of this Guru Shishya Parampara, rules of this Sampradaya, that is conveyed now in the following verses. So let us chant verse number 67. Idante na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushrushave vacham na cha mam yobhya suyati. Bhagavan says ki idam shastram, this shastra, this teaching which I have given, idam shastrante tava hitaya maya yuktam samsara vichittaye, the knowledge which I have revealed to you here, Arjuna, which is so powerful it can destroy this samsara bandhan instantly. This knowledge should not be shared with those who are atapaskaya, those who are not tapasvis. Idante na atapaskaya, taporahitaya, those who don't have tapas in their life. What is tapas? We have seen in the 17th chapter. The Sharirik, Mansik and Vachik tapas were mentioned there. Means that seva bhav, at the physical level, Deva Dvija Guru Pradnya Pujanam, that seva bhav, seva towards his teacher, seva bhav towards the devatas, seva bhav towards the elders, towards the good people, at the physical level. Then at the level of speech, one who talks the truth, not a liar, one who speaks gently, softly, one who is very kind at the level of speech, and talks about others' welfare, and one whose mind is calm, peaceful, one who is content within, one who observes mauna at the level of the mind. These are the tapas which we have seen. So one who doesn't have this tapas is not really fit for this knowledge. See, it is very clearly said in our Shastras. It is said clearly in our Shastra that one should not give this to a person who is not fit. because it will be just a wastage of time, wastage of effort, and also it will be uh, uh, apaman of this knowledge also. So it should be shared with those who are really fit. So Bhagavan says, don't give it to those who are not having this tapas. Again, Bhagavan says that one may have all this tapas, but if a person doesn't have love, bhakti, na abhaktaya, one who doesn't have love for me, one who doesn't have love for Bhagavan, means they don't have that devotion in their heart. They just want to understand something academically or without proper regard, respect. Huh? Totally a Nastic person. To such person, this knowledge should not be given. Na abhaktaya. Bhakti is very important. One is that when we have that love in our heart for Ishvara, then we will be able to understand his teaching also properly. Also, when we have love for our Guru, we will be able to understand the teaching properly. But if that love is not there, Bhagavan says you don't waste your time teaching such people. Na abhaktaya kadachana should never be given to them. Shankaracharya ji writes ki tapasvine api abhaktaya guru deva bhakti rahitaya. One who doesn't have bhakti for Guru and Deva, kadachana kasyanchit api avasthayam na vachyam, should not be imparted, this knowledge should not be given to them at any stage. But suppose somebody is a bhakta and also tapasvi, can this knowledge be given to such a person? Bhagavan says one more quality is there, that he or she should be interested to listen. Bhaktah tapasvi api san ashushrushuhu yo bhavati tasmai api na vachyam. Suppose a person is a tapasvi, a bhakta, but not interested to hear. See, even Arjuna was Bhagavan's bhakta. But though Bhagavan was there with him before the war also, Bhagavan never taught him this Bhagavad Gita because Arjuna was not in a frame of mind to listen. He had not asked question and he was not ready to listen. So unnecessarily to catch people and give them this knowledge is also not proper. Because only those who are interested to listen, they will hear it. And who are interested to listen, who has got jidnyasa in them. See, when we have this thirst to know, then only we are open. Our buddhi becomes ready to gain this knowledge. But if a person is not interested to listen, you don't have to keep on talking in front of that person. It's a general instruction. So, na cha ashrushrushave vachyam. And the fourth very important, Bhagavan says, ki na cha mam yo abhyasuyati. And certainly it should not be given to those who criticize and find faults with Bhagavan. Shankaracharya ji writes, कि नच यो माम वासुदेवं प्राकृतं मनुष्यं मत्वा आत्म प्रशंसादि दोष अध्यारोपणेन मम ईश्वरत्वम् अजानन् न सहते असौ अपि अयोग्यः तस्मै अपि न वाच्यम्. That those who think that Krishna was just an ordinary person, a human being, and he had his own faults, And here in Bhagavad Gita, he is talking about himself, he is praising himself, that, oh, you surrender to me, I will take care, and I will do everything for you. Worship me, think about me, do namaskar to me. So after listening to this, some people may find that he is an ordinary person talking with so much of ego, pride, praising himself. So those who criticize Ishvara, those who criticize Krishna, Bhagwan Shri Krishna, not only criticize him, but they also find faults and criticize his teaching. That, oh, in these modern times, what is this? Bhagavad Gita, no use, not required. It has got all flaws, defects. So those who criticize the teaching, those who find faults in the teaching, as well as find faults in Ishvara, in Krishna, to such people, this knowledge should not be given. See, it is very difficult to change people's opinion. If a person is stuck with a particular opinion, then that person remains of that opinion whatever you do. You keep on giving that person the highest knowledge, give the best logic, convey the things so beautifully, but that fellow will not change his faulty opinion. That thing will remain same. It's like a pot is there which is upside down, ulta, and you try to pour some water into it, it will just overflow, it will just not go inside. Similarly, those people who try to find fault with the teaching and have all faulty opinion, however much you may try to teach them, the teaching will not enter the system. So it will just be a waste of effort. They may be someone very close to you, they may be your own friends, your own relatives, but if they don't have these qualities, the knowledge cannot enter them. Your own husband, your own wife, your own children sometimes may show such attitude and show such negative qualities that however much one may try to teach them, it will not enter their system. So in Ramayana there is a very beautiful that prasanga wherein Bhagwan Shiva along with Sati, he goes to Agastya Rishi to listen to Ramayana. Ek bar treta jugamahi shambhu gaye kumbhaj rishi pahi. So along with Sati, Lord Shiva goes to Agastya Rishi. He stays there in the ashram, listens to Ramayana. But Sati was not so much interested in all this Ramayana and all. She was not interested to listen to somebody, just some rishi. She thought, I am the wife of a great Bhagwan. Why should I listen to this ordinary rishi? So she had disowned her pride and she was very restless. So then Lord Shiva, he again was returning back to Kailash with her, and on the way they saw Shri Ram had taken that avatar and he was in the forest, and Sita ji was taken away by this Ravan, and Ram and Lakshmana were searching for Sita ji everywhere. So Lord Shiva was going from that Akash Marga. He saw Sri Ram, and from a distance only he did namaskar. He said, Jai Satchidananda Dinesha, my namaskar to you. And he expected Sati also to do namaskar, but she had this doubt, ki why are you doing namaskar to this person? And you are calling him Satchidananda Bhagwan. But he seems to be an ordinary person, seems to be the son of a king, and who has lost his wife, and he is roaming around in the forest, crying, weeping, searching for her. How can he be that Sarvajna Ishvara? How can Ishvara have sorrow? How can Ishvara have ignorance that he is asking everyone whether they have seen Sita ji? So she did not do namaskar. But Lord Shiva said, you do namaskar. He is Sakshat, that Ishvara only. He has taken avatar. So don't think he is an ordinary person. Do namaskar. But she did not believe. So Bhagwan tried to teach her, but the knowledge did not enter her. She said, I will go and check it for myself. I will do pariksha. So she goes to do pariksha. She takes the form of Sita ji and goes in front of Sri Ram, thinking that if he is really Ishvara, he will be able to recognize me. And really Ramchandra ji recognizes her. He does namaskar to her and asks her, oh dear mother, why are you roaming in the forest alone? Where is Lord Shiva? And there Bhagwan shows her his divine form also. Wherever she looked, she saw Sri Ram there along with Sita ji. Then she realized her mistake, that I did not listen to Lord Shiva. And when she comes back to Lord Shiva, she even lies to him, saying that no, I just went ahead and did namaskar. She did not tell him that she took the form of Sita ji and all. So Lord Shiva was very saddened by the whole incident, and he renounced her. The story is there further. But the main thing is that even Lord Shiva, the greatest of teacher, was teaching this to Sati ji, but she could not comprehend. Because she had found faults with Ishvara, tried to find faults with the teaching. So here Bhagwan says that those who try to find fault with me and my teaching, those who have this negative sort of mentality, then don't waste your time teaching them. So what does it mean? It means that one who has got tapas, one who has got bhakti, one who is interested to listen to this knowledge, one who doesn't find fault with Ishvara and his teaching, are fit to gain this knowledge. So these are the general instructions given. See, here also I am taking these classes, and all of you are listening to me. I have not taken any test whether you are a tapasvi or you have bhakti or you are interested to listen or you don't find fault with the teaching. I am assuming and that all of you have these qualities. Because without these qualities, you will not come and listen to this pravachan. So all of you are having that tapas in your life. Without that seva bhav at a physical level, at the level of speech, at the level of your mind, you will not listen. Also, all of you have that bhakti also. You have that love for me. Therefore, you are coming and listening regularly. Also, you have love for Ishvara. And you are interested to listen. And you don't find fault with this teaching. So with these qualities, you are all fit to listen and gain this knowledge and become free of this samsara. Okay? So more about this we will see in our class tomorrow. Till then, you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana. And we shall meet again tomorrow. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram. Boliye Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.